Welcome to all. This video I am going to explain how to create multiple thread using extends thread class in Java. So here I need to create two child thread and one thread name is called Sam, which want to display good morning 5 times with every 5 minutes. And the second thread name is Rahul, which want to display a message called good evening 5 times at every 3 minutes. So now we'll see how to code this. First we have to create a class greetings which extends thread class. So this is our step 1. And in step 2 we need to override public void run, and this is our step 2. Here we have to write the logic what our child thread wants to do. So my child thread wants to give a greeting message, and that will be different for one thread to another thread. So I will put some general messages now. Sout child running, and it need to provide a greeting message 5 times. For int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Sout child greets, and this I need to display in a time limit. So I am putting now thread.sleep is some 1 second, so 1000 millisecond. And here this should be handled, so I am putting a try and corresponding catch, interrupted, exception E. Sout interrupted, and after finishing it I want to tell child says bye. Okay, so this is the thing I want to do it. So depends upon my first child, so I need to display Sam says good morning at every 5 minutes. And depends upon my second thread, I need to override Rahul says good morning every 3 minutes. So as you know that every child class has only one run method to implement. So to differentiate which thread instance running, I can add a constructor in it. So we can add a constructor public greetings. Okay. So what are the things it is varying? That is the thread name and the message it is passing and the time duration. So here the thread name is Sam, here it is Rahul. The message is good morning, here it is good evening. And the time limit here 5 minutes and here 3 minutes. So whenever I create an instance of a child thread, I need to pass 3 information. The first one is the thread name, and the second one is the greeting message, and the third one is the time interval. And here the thread name, okay, the thread name is assigned to the main thread class, that is our base thread class. So we need to use the super keyword and pass the name so that the thread name will be assigned in the base thread. So by using the thread.getName, you can get the name of the thread. And the message and the time is local to this class only, so that I will create a variable string m is equal to string m, and another one is int t. So here the m I will assign the message, and in t I will assign the time. So 3 informations. The first one is name of the thread, and second one is the message it wants to pass and the time duration. And the name of the thread should be assigned to my base class. My base class is a thread class. So to pass the information to my base class, so we are using the super keyword and passing the name to the thread. So what it will do, it will use with thread.setName and set a name for the thread. So later I can use getName to get the name of the thread. And the greeting message, what I want to pass, and the time duration. So this thing I have passed here. And now I want to create an instance. So I am going to create. So before creating the instance, I want to know the main thread. So thread T is equal to thread dot current thread. So now I am putting S out main thread started. Okay, so my main thread got started, and below that I am putting main thread says bye to all. Okay, so within this I want to create my child thread. So to create the child thread, I need to create an instance of my child thread class. My child thread class is greetings G1 equal to new greetings. So I need to pass three information. The first one is name of my thread. Second one is the message, greeting message, good morning, then 5 minutes. So good morning, and then the time limit is 5 minutes, so 5000 milliseconds. Then this is my first thread, and to start it I am using the start method. So this is my step 4, and creating the instance, this is my step 3. And now I want to create a multi-thread. I want to create another one thread, so I need to create another instance. Greetings G2 equal to new greetings. So here my thread name is Rahul, and it needs to tell good evening for every 3 minutes. So here good evening, and 3 minutes, that is 3000 milliseconds. And I need to start it, so G1 dot start. So if I want to create multiple thread, all the thread wants to do a same task, only the message and the time duration is different. So I create a single thread class which is extend from thread, and which I have override the run method, and to differentiate only the thread name, the message and the time duration, we are using the constructor to initialize all these informations. And now whenever I initialize, the thread name will be passed using the super keyword to the main thread, that is my base thread, and the message what I want to work with the particular child thread and the time duration of the child thread. And now that will be available in M, and it will be available in the T. So now for the first thread, it's invoke, I need to get the name of the thread, that is the SAM thread. I want to know the name of the thread. So if I want to get the current instance of a thread, I need to use the keyword called as this. So already in the constructor using the super keyword, I have initialized the name. So by using the get name, I can get the name of the thread. So now it will tell the first thread instance name and followed by child running. And same thing I want to give here also. The first thread greets what message. So the thread name is again I am getting with thread dot get name, and the first thread child greets what message. So that message I have put it in the variable yum. So that message I am putting here. So now this will print, if it is a first thread means it will get the instance of the first thread, that is Sam child greets, the message is good morning, and it should be executed for every 5 minutes. So instead of using 1000 here, the time I have given in the variable t, so I am passing t. That's all. So now I have make it as general. So any number of threads I can create. So the thread name will change, the message the thread wants to display will change, and the time duration got changed. So now this is ready. So here I have started it. So now my program is going to execute. So I am going to execute my program. Okay, you see here, main thread starts, main thread says bye to all, Rahul child running, Rahul child greets good evening, Sam child running, Sam child greets good morning. So Sam and Rahul are my two child instances, so they are interleaving. and here we are getting the message. So here also I didn't put this child says bye, so I will add that the child says bye. So here also I can add it, this dot get name plus. So here it will tell child says bye and Rahul child says bye. And again you run it. So main thread started, Rahul child running, Sam child running, Rahul greeting good evening, Sam greeting good morning. So after 5 times they repeat their greeting message. So now Rahul says bye and then Sam also says bye at the end. Yes, so Sam also says bye. Okay. So if I want to use the same logic with multiple threads running on the same logic, so to differentiate that threads, I can use the constructor and I can initialize my thread name and the message it wants to display and the duration it wants to display. Okay. So if you see here in this output, we know that always the main thread starts first and the main thread ends last. But in this output you see here the main thread started first and after printing itself the main thread ends. And then only your child thread starts and executing and finally your child thread ends. So to make it as order, that is the main thread starts first, after that your child thread starts, and once your child thread finish, then only your main thread has to finish. So to make this order, we have a function called as join. Okay. In thread, we have a function called as join. So what this join method will do, the main thread has to wait until the child thread completes its work. Okay. So until the child thread completes, all the child threads are running inside your main thread. So until all the child thread completes its work, your main thread has to wait. So for that you are using this join method. So again you have another one child thread. So G2 dot join. So your main thread will wait until the child thread G1 and G2 finish its work. Your main thread will wait. So this too is again unhandled exception. So we need to put with the try catch. So try catch interrupted exception E. Okay. So now we will run and check how your program output will differ. So you see here main thread started. You see here your child thread started running. And now both the child thread is interleaving and producing the output. Good evening 5 times, good morning 5 times. After that Rahul says bye and then Sam says bye and Sam says bye. So finally only your main thread says bye to all. So in the beginning you have a main thread and at the end we have a main thread. Okay. So we want to know your child thread is alive or not. So I will put, for that you have a function called as is alive. So we are going to check whether my child alive. Okay. So for that I want to check only one thread. So G1 dot alive is alive. Okay. So this will return true if the child thread is running. If the child thread completes its work, it will produce false. So before join, all your child threads are running. Okay. So now it will return true. But after join means your main thread has to wait until your child thread can finish its work. So once your child thread finishes its work, after join, you check whether your child thread is alive. It will return it is false because the child thread completes its work in this join itself. So after coming here, if you check whether it is alive, it will return false. That also we will check it. Run the program. See here, main thread started. The child thread alive. See here, our child thread is alive because now it's running. It's in the CPU, so it's got the control. So the child thread is alive and it's running. So now your Rahul thread sets bye, and Sam thread also says bye now. Now you see here, after finishing the child thread's work, the child thread now become not alive. So if I check is alive, it is false. So our main thread is the last thread which will complete its work. Okay. So now I will go with another program. Suppose you have, now this program we have only same logic. That is, we want to give a greet message that may be differ only with the name of the thread, and it is differ based on the message it is giving and the time duration. But sometimes you may have two different logics to be displayed with two different threads. For example, my first thread wants to execute the number from 1 to 5. And the second thread wants to execute the number from 1 to 5 in the reverse order. So in that case, I will not able to put both the logic inside the same run. Okay? Because my first thread wants to execute 1 to 5. The second thread wants to execute 1 to 5 in the reverse order. So two threads wants to execute two different logic. That time the two different logic I cannot keep it inside a single run function. So in order to do that, what I can do? Okay. So I will go with new class. I am giving a file name. Finish. So now I need to do two different tasks by two different threads. So for that I need to define two tasks now. So task 1, which extends thread. This is for my first thread instance or first child, which is going to print number from 1 to 5. So public void run for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, s out child 1 printing the I value. So this I am going to print with the sleep with thread dot sleep of 3000, and this to be put in a try block. So try catch interrupted exception E. So now my first child, the task is printing from 1 to 5. Next I want to define the second task for my second thread that should print 1 to 5 in the reverse order. So class task 2 extends thread. So this also having public void run, and here the task is printing the number 1 to 5 in the reverse order. So int I equal to 5, I greater than or equal to 1, I minus minus, s out child 2 printing the I value. And this also I am going to print in a manner of thread dot sleep of 3000 milliseconds, and I need to use with try and catch. So try catch interrupted exception. So two child multi-thread concept, two child, both the child wants to do with different logic, so I cannot write both the logic inside the same run method. So for first task I am creating a separate class which extends thread class, which is doing printing of 1 to 5 for the first child, and the second task which is for the thread 2, that is printing the value 5 to 1. So now we need to initiate multi-thread concept. So I am going to create the first thread, that is task 1 t is equal to new task 1. So t dot run, t dot start. So start internally invoke the run method. Now I am creating the second instance, that is for my task 2. My second child wants to do the second task. So task 2. So t1 dot start. So if your two threads wants to work on same logic, then we can follow the previous implementation. We write only one run method, then use the constructor to differentiate the two instances. Now I have two threads. The two threads wants to do two different logics. So that time I can create one task separately and another task separately, and then I can use the instances created for the first task, instance created for the second task. So now I can run. You can see here child 1 printing 1, child 2 printing 5. So now two threads running simultaneously, one thread printing with 1 to 5, another thread printing from 1 to 5 in the reverse order. So you can use any way which is familiar to you, which is flexible to you. So depends upon you select that methodology and you can execute the program to create multiple thread in Java. Thank you.